Welcome back to the show. Did the U.S. government just reveal the next black swan? Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, we're $2.53 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off 1.5%. $72,152.05. We're so close to the all-time high, ladies and gentlemen. 2,600 plus for Ethereum. USD Tether 120 billion plus, USDC 35 billion plus, XRP number 7 spot 51 cents, off 0.2 on the 24, off 1.7 on the 7-day. Range of price very quickly between 51 and 52 cents. We'll keep an eye on it. I do want to tell you about I Trust Capital. Yeah, it is the best gold, silver, crypto IRAs on the planet. Get your own back office. You can buy and sell out of the assets. And if you're in a Roth, you know you're tax-free, baby. It is really remarkable because the only thing better than buying crypto is buying tax-free crypto. And when you're in an IRA, you're getting institutional grade custody for your assets. As a retail investor, there's nothing but upside here, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you click the link below and get started. Robinhood reports crypto trading volume is up 112%, with crypto revenue rising 165% to $61 million. Things are going well. New York Stock Exchange sees all these numbers, and they seek to list Grayscale's crypto index ETF. You know, this is getting exciting, right? The integration into the legacy traditional markets. I love it. I love it. We're watching the birth of a new asset class. Yes, I am a nerd. You know it. I embrace it, you know. And at the same time, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. That's why gold's going to $2,800, because it means the dollar's worth less. Gold's not getting more expensive. The dollar is becoming has less value, right? That's the way the gold bugs, and I see it, right? And Jim Rickards, the ultimate gold bug, won't. There it is. Gold hits 2,800. The great Americans, it said it's great that Americans are not buying it. That means there's plenty of upside left when they finally see what's happening. I think he makes a fantastic point here, and so does the U.S. government. U.S. Treasury, we expect to buy up to $30 billion in off-the-run securities for liquidity support. You know, because things are going so well. U.S. Treasury, we plan to conduct weekly liquidity support, buybacks of up to $4 billion per operation, because things are going so well. Then there's this. Remember Project Sandman? 100 plus nations have global agreement now being deployed called Project Sandman to drop and end dollar dominance, especially the U.S. petrodollar. This is from 3 years ago, but we've been talking about this for as long. This is a real threat. And with the money printing so they can buy back their own trouble, this doesn't end well. You could see it's like a candle burning at both ends. And we're the ones in the middle. Now, to go back here,
Russia will begin using.
Let me set the stage. I know you guys know about BRICS, but just let me set the stage here for a second. A lot of people don't think Project Sandman's real. Just give me a second here. Stay with me.
The Chinese yuan for international payments instead of the dollar. Saudi Arabia is also in talks with Beijing to do the same thing. Speaking of,
and this is an older clip, and we know, in fact, Saudi Arabia is now using the digital yuan to do oil trade as well.
Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, they're in talks with Iran as well to consider an economic alliance with China and Russia. And they can even be joining the BRIC countries, which is an acronym for these countries here: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These countries all have emerging economies. So What happens if our economy and the U.S. dollar are no longer the world's dominant currency? Former Assistant Treasury Secretary and host of the Monica Crowley podcast, Monica Crowley, is here to weigh in. Monica, great to see you this morning. Let's start right there. What happens if these emerging economies move away from the U.S. dollar towards the Chinese yuan?
Well, good morning, Will. It's great to be with you. And it's really hard to overstate exactly how catastrophic the abandonment of the U.S. dollar would be as the world's global reserve currency. Look, since the end of World War II, the dollar has been the safe place to go, and it's been backed up by a couple of things. It originally was backed up by gold, but President Nixon took us off the gold standard, so there's no hard asset backing up the dollar anymore for the last 50 years.
No hard asset backing up the dollar for the last 50 years. I'm going to have to make some points because of where we're going. Stay with me.
But also it's been backed up by the strength and economic power of the United States and the fact that oil has always been traded in dollars. If that were to end, that would mean the end of the U.S. dollar. Look, there is a perfect storm happening right now, Will. The world's reserve currency being that, having that status has been a real privilege, but we've abused the privilege by wholly reckless monetary and fiscal policies over many years, certainly over the last couple of years, which has really devalued the dollar. On top of that, now you do have this perfect storm of Biden's weakness, his war on American domestic energy production, the Ukraine war, and as you point out, because of all of these things, we've got America's enemies led by China forming a new economic bloc. And all it would take at this point now, because we're at this pivotal moment, Will, is for Saudi Arabia, who has indicated that they're open to this, to say, you know what, we're going to be open to considering other currencies to trade in oil. If that were to happen, there would be a complete implosion of the global economic system, but certainly the American economic system. And if that were to happen, you'd be looking at sky-high inflation, just raging Weimar Republic kind of inflation. If you think inflation is bad now, just wait.
Okay, now with that, let me move forward here. And the whole thing is great, but let me bring you to this. XRP Las Vegas 2024. Let me get you there. So here I am sitting with the Honorable Christian Carlo, former CFTC chairman, and as far as I'm concerned, should be shortlisted for the SEC Gensler position. And I hope he gets it, and I hope he would take it if he was offered. But I want you to listen to this conversation we had about the dollar and stablecoins, a new use case to soak up hyperinflated bonds.
Politicians have more control over it, right?
Unfortunately, with the way things are today, and you look, if we look at the printing, the inflation here at home, we look at the geopolitical conflicts that are happening, the advancement of the Chinese digital yuan, we don't want to see that get white labeled in other countries and so on. Can they avoid, you know what I mean? Like standing on the sideline and avoid being a part of this innovation? You can't.
No, and honestly, they have the right to exercise their economic clout. We don't agree with their value set, but they have a right to economic. We should just be countering that with a better set of values. The sad part is we're not doing that, and so they're dominating the conversation.
So at this point, if we look at, and if we just look at the things that are happening, just the inflation, the money printing, we all in this room know that it's unsustainable. And we don't get an email when it hits that wall. There's a line in the sand when it comes to money. And this is so funny because as involved as the construct of the financial system is, there's an imaginary line in the sand called confidence. And once it's lost,
absolutely,
that piece of paper isn't worth anything.
That's right.
And what I see coming, and I want you to speak to this from just from the Digital Dollar Project. What I'm seeing is this unavoidable moment in the front of us, and there has to be someone at some point has to come forward and allow these new use cases to be happening, like stablecoins, private issuers, because I see like this hyperinflation moment. Now, I'm not trying to be an alarmist. I don't know whether it slides greatly or what's that scale look like. I can't tell you, but everybody knows that it's a high probability of happening. We just don't know how bad it gets, right? But if you introduce this ability for these new issuers to have a stable coin, then they are the ones that soak up like a sponge or a bulkhead that catch these hyperinflated dollars that are coming back home. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you put your finger on it. I think the biggest threat to the American way of life is government money printing.
Yeah.
Everyone here.
Absolutely right, which is why I showed you this about gold going up and the money and the buying back, right? We know where this is going. This is bad. This is bad. And then I ask you, could Project Sandman become one of the possible black swan events that we, Brad Garlinghouse, and others have talked so much about? Could it be? Remember this? He talked about the Telecommunications Act to unlock the internet, and then goes on to say we could even have a black swan moment.
Created through the 1996 Telecommunications Act. And so investors flowed in, entrepreneurs flowed in. That hasn't yet happened in the United States as it relates to crypto, hopefully soon. But you know, maybe this will change. I'm hopeful, and I agree it could be a black swan event.
There's no question. I have always said since the inception of my channel, and I believed it before I even became an influencer, XRP was not created for a 65 and sunny kind of day, ladies and gentlemen. XRP as a bridge currency was created to complement the financial system, and it won't be introduced until things are in a place where they have no other choice. Has the Fed and the U.S. government not proven that to us time and time again? If they can cut, if they can print, that's what they're going to do. If they can raise interest rates, cut interest rates, or print money, that's what they're going to do until they can't do it anymore. The problem this time around is that imaginary line in the sand called confidence, and over 100 nations around the world are losing it very quickly. Then we know this. I covered this yesterday. This is the U.S. State Department saying any development of alternative to the SWIFT system is undermining the dollar's role and threatens democracy. Okay, that is strong language.
The development of an alternative to the SWIFT system and the undermining of the dollar's role threaten democracy. Such steps are often accompanied by the strengthening of authoritarian regimes.
Okay, well, BricsPay's got a system. Shout out to Rob Cunningham for that one. And then we know at the same time, while I'm painting all of this and laying it out in front of you, what do we know? USD Tether under investigation by U.S. authorities for possible money laundering and sanctions violations. And I'm asking you, when real USD? Is any of this starting to look like the pieces to a giant puzzle? Or do you find all of these events to be coincidence? Not in my house. And to go further, Subjective Views has found this from the U.S. Department of Treasury hinting around a possible Tether collapse. Take a look at this. It's a whole report on stablecoins and Tether breakdown here. And then they show the money and stuff. But financial stability risk in the future state when the tokenized market is significantly bigger, which Tether is. Runs on stablecoins have been a common occurrence in recent years, and a collapse of a major stablecoin like Tether could lead to a fire sale of short-dated treasuries. If history serves as any guide, stablecoins will need to be regulated like narrow banks or money market funds to prevent contagion of stress in stablecoin markets to broader financial markets and the treasury market. A collapse of a major stablecoin like Tether could result in a fire sale of U.S. Treasury holdings. That's a black swan event, ladies and gentlemen. And if you have Project Sandman pile in on top of a moment like that, boy, would we have a real crap show going on at home. And then what did Brad Garlinghouse say in a couple interviews, and this most recent one at Swell?
Flows represented 20, because of that, we were minting 20% of all USDC. And so we're kind of looking at that.
Now listen.
And then we look at what happened during the banking crisis where USDC depegged by 7%. And, I kind of came to the conclusion there's an opportunity here.
You better believe there's an opportunity here. You know what Brad Garlinghouse is telling you in that statement there? When USDC lost the peg, he said, I saw an opportunity there. You know what I think that opportunity is? Is the first time that Ripple's XRP bag could underpin the real USD as a stable coin should it ever lose its peg. And that would be the first time an example of XRP backing a US dollar as a stable coin. And isn't that the ultimate goal? As far as I'm concerned, this is where we're going. Currently, right now, the US dollar is backed by what? The full faith and confidence of the US government that it will pay its bills. But what's the joke behind it all? They don't pay their bills. All they do is print more money and give you some of it. How do you get rid of that imaginary line in the sand from being crossed? I'll tell you how. You get an asset like XRP, which has a decentralized world exchange, and very quickly, you pair it to everything in every traditional market. You hold a piece in reserve of every different asset class from in the economy and tradable asset. Hold a reserve of it. Find out what that value is and peg that to a dollar amount. $10 bill, $20 bill, $100 bill, $500 bill, $1,000 bill, $10,000 bill, based on the liquidity and utility and reserve assets on the ledger. And then you could peg that to a denomination of the United States dollar. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's not only backed by the full faith and confidence of the U.S. government, it's backed by a piece of every major asset in the world. And the only way to destroy XRP or the U.S. dollar in the future is to physically end the world. Sometimes you just got to make the video.
State of play when we are talking about ISO 20022 and we're taking a look at the global landscape.
So first of all, ISO 20022 is a watershed moment in the payments industry, a global mandate across all financial institutions globally. So some jurisdictions have gone live, such as the UK and EU. Some still to go live, such as the US, which goes live next March 2025.
And there you have your timeline. They're going live in the US with ISO 20022 in March of 25, in just a handful of months. Now, what's interesting about that is that we know SWIFT, which is the Sibos conference, SWIFT is going live with digital asset trading in 25 as well. You know, everything's pointing to where we're going here. Then remember this, David Andolfato from the St. Louis Fed, who helped write the Fedcoin report, talked exactly about what I just explained to you about how you could peg a denominated US dollar bill to XRP and use the assets on the ledger to back the actual US dollar. So this way it's no longer backed by nothing. Take a listen.
That you might want to undertake. And so it was at that point that I said, well, you know, we could, if we wanted to, extend the concept one step further. I'm not saying that this is ever going to happen, but just conceptually, you could imagine not Fedwire for all, but kind of like a Fed coin, where what the Fed would do is actually just issue these, Bitcoin-like objects, but and they would enforce a par exchange rate with the U.S. dollar. That would eliminate the exchange rate volatility. But they could delegate the clearing of these payments to some third party, some sort of Ripple-like protocol or.
There you have it right there. That's David Andolfato from St. Louis Fed. And look at where we are legally. This is Craig Dwit, formerly of Ripple. Shout out to Craig. Listen to this prediction of where we could be. And we're on the precipice of this being a very real possibility, ladies and gentlemen. Take a listen.
Well, good sound points. Crypto is life, man. You get the, those are the same thing for me. Here's my hot take. Hit me. SEC gets their ass kicked in the Ripple case. Absolutely get their ass kicked in the Ripple case.
Yep.
But the ruling comes out in such a way that XRP is alone cleared as a non-security in the United States. Meaning that with all the other stuff that the SEC is pulling, suing exchanges, suing other coins, they're going to sue some big ones as well, that only BTC and XRP have legal clarity in the United States for a 2-year period.
taking some show notes on that one. Ooh.
Yeah, that's a goodie right there. And that is aging quite well, Craig. Aging quite well. And here we have the Block Bull. Give him a follow. Look at this macro chart of where we're at here. Having, back in the day, 33 bars. That's what happened. Having, back in the day, 33 bars, the beginning of going to 192. Having, back in the day, or actually today, and currently the 33 bars would put us at Monday, December 9th, 2024. I don't know what happens, but head on a swivel. And then there's Eggrag Crypto, who shows this chart, XRP-The-BTC Chart, the Relative Strength Index update. Take a look. The monthly RSI for XRP-To-BTC chart is forming a double bottom, a classic bullish signal. This setup often marks the beginning of a trend reversal, hinting that the momentum could be shifting upward. This formation might be setting the stage for the next big move. And there it is right there. I tell you what, well, I am excited to see what goes on. We get past this damn election. I can't wait. All right, that's going to do it for me. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. We're going into the Freedom Zone, and you could join us too, and I hope that you do. You're going to love what we got here. We have an array of things that you need to see, and they really kind of cover some of the things that are top issues for all of us as citizens of the planet, let alone American citizens as well. I hope you'll join us. Go to digperspectives.com, click the Freedom Zone, and come on in. All right, welcome back.